Okay, hello friends. So today I'm pretty excited because we have someone with us, and her name is Disha. She recently cleared, friends, you won't believe it, not one, not two, not three, five interviews. And yeah, and those are pretty good companies. So for example, IBM, Cogni, and CGI, and there are two more startups. So today she's going to share her story. We are going to go through all the questions which she has given in the past, which will definitely going to help you guys. And friends, before we start, small request, please hit like. We are doing a lot of hard work for you guys, so please hit like. And if you are new to our channel, please subscribe. You can just browse and you can find a lot of interview questions with respect to Scrum Master or project managers. So yeah, okay. So shall we start, Disha?
Yes, yes, Anand.
Okay, okay. So we will just going directly with the questions and answers. Is it okay, Disha?
Yeah, probably I'll just have to say, thank you for having me here, and
Okay.
thanks to you, Career Stock, and yeah, my friends and colleagues who actually helped me, really helped me to learn more about these agile related topics, and at the same time, I'm applying those things in my day-to-day work. So yeah, once again, extremely grateful to each one of you. So I just hope I can answer, I know that's not a right or wrong answer, but I'll just try to give the apt answer which could be
Absolutely.
helpful for others as well. Yeah. Thank you,
Great.
Sanand, once again. Yeah.
Okay, Disha. So let's start. Okay. So very first question.
Hmm.
I think it's very important question, and nowadays it's been asked a lot of time. So what is meant by being agile or doing agile for you as a Scrum Master?
Yeah. I mean, firstly, what is meant by doing agile is like, I would say it's simply trying to adopt, the practices without actually trying to understand the principles behind it. So, for instance, I can say, like a team leader just coming and telling the team, this is what we have to do, and the team just blindly follows it without a proper, questioning about a thought process. So that is what I would say is doing agile. But if you ask me about what is being agile, is much more about the mindset. Again, if I have to bring the same example now with a different perspective, so the team leader is talking about the project process, highlighting what is the main issues or concerns you have. So the members take that initiative. You're asking the opinion about them as well. So they feel that ownership is given to them also. So it's much more about a teamwork and collaboration, and just not being on a individual person. So that is what I feel. It's better to have like being agile. You have to be that. Yeah, probably that is what I can answer on that. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Okay. So could you also share some of the advantages which you see in scaled agile?
Yes, I mean, we have been following, Scaled Agile for like close to 3 years now in our organization. So, what basic things what I say is that actually much of the dependencies, they are sorted out during the PI planning. We mention it on the program board, and everyone is aware of it. And it's much more transparent, and you have open communication. Also, the people know what is the business goal, and all the teams are aligned due to the visibility we get. So yeah, I think these are the three probably important features. There are more. So this is what I feel these are the advantages of scaled agile.
Okay. And could you also explain what is ROAM, ROAM?
Yes, this is again one of the things what is brought up in SAFe. It basically stands for the acronym like resolve, own, accept, and mitigate. It's like basically how do you handle a given risk? If it is resolved, generally there is no further action is required. It is resolved. Owned as in the risk cannot be resolved and within the team. So someone has to own it. Maybe in the future, once the PI planning is done, someone we have to take that initiative to take it forward. Accepted as in the risk can't be resolved, so we are just accepting as it is, so it's we have a closure on that. And mitigate is you need to have that the strategy or plan in place so that you can eliminate the threat of the risk. So that is what is basically generally when the interview they ask what you mean by ROAM, is basically you have to explain these things. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. And what are the inputs and outputs of a PI?
Input would be like the business context, the roadmap, and you have the top features. Basically, they're the top 10 features of the program backlog. And when it comes for output, you have a committed PI objectives. I mean, there could be a non-committed ones, but the committed PI objectives plays a much more important role there. And you have the program board, which actually highlights all, the dependencies, the delivery dates, which are actually visible to the people around you. So they are the input and output of a PI.
Okay, and you mentioned about scale agile. So how one can follow or come up with a scale agile in an organization?
Yeah, I mean, in our organization, actually, there are a lot many, what I say, arts we have. I mean, in Nutshell, we have several arts. And we have a business objective, and all these, we have, everyone has actually having a common business objective, like all the teams. So in the art where I belong, basically, we have actually five sprints, and each of our like 2 weeks duration, and which we basically work on features or defects. And we have one more sprint, which is actually we have the IP sprint, basically the innovation planning, where the team works upon the innovation topics, not on the features or defects what they have done so far. It's like it's a change for them so that they can learn something new, and we utilize this for planning as well. And yeah, we have like again we have 2 days of PI planning, wherein the team decides upon the story points for the PBIs we have taken. And like we have again the PI planning, we have once we're at the end of the PI planning, we have set of a committed and a non-PI objectives, and our stakeholders basically they go through all of these things, and they arrive at a business value. And basically they give us some count, we something we have something ranging from 1 to 7 is how they give a count. And yeah, we again have inspect and adapt, where the PI demo is given to the art, so everyone has the the visibility, like everyone knows what are we doing and what is the output what we have got. So yeah, this is how the safe is being followed, yeah, in our organization. Yeah.
Okay. And could you please explain what is invest or N specifically in invest?
Yes, I mean, invest again, criteria follows nothing but to the user stories. How do you assess it? And N basically is nothing but the negotiable, N stands for the negotiable, like in invest criteria. So it's like, how do you coordinate or discuss with your customer on the user story? Basically, you need to encourage the discussion, to provide the value to the customer, and you're not, trying to be rigid or non-negotiable. So that is what N means in invest.
Okay. And are you aware about say-do ratio in Agile?
Yeah, I mean, say-do ratio is again, it's a metric. Like basically, it'll tell you that how many story points the team has actually completed at the end of the sprint, compared to nothing but the total points they have committed during this planning. And this is actually a very important metric, because generally you have to it should, they somewhere say that if the ratio is very less, it is like it is not apt, you have to make it better. So this is one of the metric what we see in Agile. And yeah, one of the common questions I have actually faced in a lot many interviews where they ask about it. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the difference between a feature and a capability?
Yes. Again, these are the two again, they are much more related to safe here. Again, features are nothing but which gets created by a product manager for an agile release team. And they're much smaller as in like you can deliver it in a single PI, by a single art. But when it comes to capabilities, they are actually getting created by the solution manager. It's for the complete solution train, and they are too big. I mean, you just can't finish it in a single program increment by single art. So they further are broken down into features.
And could you also explain a little bit about CI/CD process?
Yes, I mean, we do follow CI/CD process in our organization. Actually, how it is done is when we check in a code, basically the Git pipeline is run. So when it is run, the first step is the code quality gets checked, and then we have the build process happens. And if the build is successful, we again run the test cases and to see that if the code hasn't, caused any issue or it has not caused any, the test doesn't fail for some changes what we have done. And if everything is fine, we then get the output. It could be some deployable package, which we can install on the system. It's actually, I could say that we are actually following more of CI part and not much on the CD part. We are slowly improving ourselves, on the CD part, yeah.
Okay, and could you also explain a little bit about risk management, like how the risk is being managed in any of the project or in your organization?
Yeah, I mean, from the PI perspective, again, since there is, we have the Rome concepts, what I just told a bit before in this thing. So we have that actually discussed on the PI planning level. But other than then, like we actually have a document wherein we have all the risk evaluation matrix, which is actually helping us to, assess basically for any risk related things. So we have a different probability and severity of the risk so that we can come to a conclusion. And there are some numbers based on what we arrive at a proper category of the risk. So basically it helps us to understand the impact of the risk. And I think this changes from organization to organization, and we follow the one which has been given by our, our organization. So yeah.
Safe configuration you use in your organization currently?
We are using this SAFE 5, and we are basically we have 4 levels of SAFE, and we are actually using the we are a large solution. So because we have multiple arts, and again they are dependent on each other. So that is the current, I would say, the configuration we are using.
Okay, and what are enablers?
I mean, when there is a work, to be done by an agile team, and which actually, directly doesn't benefit a user, we call it as something called as an enabler. I mean, I would generally probably I take it as like it could be a spike. You spend some time doing the research on it. I mean, you understand what are the different options are there. So that is what is enablers. Yeah.
Okay, so when you join any new organization as a Scrum Master, right? What you are going to do in that, let's say, next 30 days or next 60 days or something like that?
Okay, basically, I mean, I would say I will be an observant for a few weeks. I mean, I don't want to disturb whatever the current setup which is there. I mean, I'll be an active listener. So basically, that would be the first thing what I'll be doing, like just understand how it is going on. And I'll ask the PO or like any person who basically knows about the product, because I want to get an idea about it, what is about the product and what are the things which is involved, which will help me to learn more about that, and also to understand the domain, which will actually give me a fair idea about what is the team currently doing it, probably not in detail, but at least the basic of it. So I'll be able to understand the things what the team is doing, and indirectly it will help me to again gain knowledge on that. And I'll try to understand the team, probably have a one-on-one discussion with each of them to understand more about them. What are they doing? What is that? There is something which they don't like in the current, the agile, the things what has been followed in the company. And again, the most important thing is to understand your stakeholders as well. Who are the different stakeholders and what are their expectations, and even try to understand the process in terms of like how releases are made. So see what is actually the current pain points the team has, or even for that matter, even the PO is having some issues. So just understand what is it, and how actually in the going forward, how actually can I make the situation better. So I would say, probably these are the things what I'll be probably trying to do when when I try to join a new organization.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and again, this is most asked question, like what does Scrum Master do on a day-to-day basis? So if you want to share like what exactly is your day looks like.
Yeah, I mean, generally for me, the morning starts with going through the mails. There would be some of the other mails which is lined up, which needs my attention. So that is how the day starts. And then we actually have a stand-up call wherein, the team actually goes, then explains what they have done. And also that is, again, it's a very important thing for me to understand if there is anything, if it is bothering the team, and also you get to know from there. And also during that time, I just run through the board to see that if the things are going in place, or if you see that somewhere anyone is stuck or they need some extra help, probably they can approach the anyone after the stand-up call is done. And it's not on a daily basis, but somewhere once in a week, you just have to have a one-on-one with the team, like to see that some people don't open up generally, during their if it is probably even the retro in the other sprint activities, they don't generally open up. So sometimes better to have one-on-one with the team separately. So I'll just do that. And obviously, again, I have the other work wherein the grooming happens, the prioritizing of the PBS happen with the PO to understand what are the features which which is a team has to deliver in the coming PI. And we then again have an attend the scrum of scrums, whatever the dependencies we have, and also we try to sort it out if there is anything immediate action to be taken from there. So that is how is one of the thing I attend. For us, actually, it happens, bi-weekly. So that is how for us it is placed. And I'll be again, if on other typical days wherein the PI is approaching, then I'll be having again, have to be preparing for the upcoming PI to see what are the, we have a prioritized list, what we have. So we have to work on that. So if there is any clarity which is required, I have to again get it sorted by the PO. And again, if it's a general, once a PI has been started, we are again coming back to the sprint. Again, the sprint planning happens. Since we follow the 2-week sprints, at the end of the week, we just have the sprint review, wherein basically a PO, he is the one to whom we are actually giving a demo here. So the stakeholders, sometimes they will be part of it, otherwise it's just a PO for us. So we give the demo to him and see if everything has been planned accordingly. And then the retro, which is, I feel, is much more important to see how the team is placed. So it's generally the sprint review would be for the PO or for the stakeholders, I would say, and retro is actually for the team, because you have to understand how the team is, like if they are actually seeing any issues or not, so that maybe the future, if there is anything, we can sort it out. So this is the typical day, basically how it goes here.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, now this one is little bit kind of a scenario where let's assume that you have a major release which is going to happen, let's assume on Monday. Right. And this week your core QA or one of your senior test lead or someone within your team is went on leave, right? For some emergency or something like that. So how we are going to handle this kind of contingencies within a team? So your thought on that?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if this is the correct answer, but what it flashed to me basically is that there is a situation wherein you have probably two testers, the QA basically, and both the critical resources. And for some emergency, this thing, one of the QA probably is on leave or on long leave for that matter, and there is an immediate delivery has to be given, like the testing has to happen. Considering at this point of time, like again, what basically we are actually concentrating on the T-shape, the concept here again. So probably I would, what I thought is like, I would actually ask the team members, specifically for me now, nothing but the developers. I mean, just ask them, like making them aware of the current situation, that this is what is the issue. And you see how critical it is. And one of the QA is not there. And it is like, oh, we are in a tight spot now because we have to do the delivery. So obviously I'll have to take the opinion from them if they're actually able to, help the team achieve that goal of, to deliver the product just in time. So there are a few things what the testers do, setting up the system. At least for our case, we have many systems in place. Like we have to test on different versions of the packages actually. So most of the time goes in there in installing those things and making the system ready, rather than actually running those test cases and getting the output. So these are nothing but again the manual related tasks which a tester can do, like tester has to do. So I would probably ask the developer to assist the tester, like probably there are 15 systems, so, and which initially maybe the two QA people used to, handle. Probably now the the developer can pitch in and he can take that load from the QA and to at least make the system ready. And then probably the entire suite of running whatever the QA is to do, running the test cases, the BDD test cases can be taken by QA. So this way, probably, the developer can actually, help the tester. I don't know if it is a right answer, but this is what actually struck to me when this question was asked. So yeah, probably that could be some better answer. So yeah, this is what I feel, Sunanda. I'm not sure about it. Yeah.
No, that's okay. No issues. Okay, I can add something, but let's park it for
Yeah.
some time. Let's not, otherwise our flow will be disturbed. Okay,
Yeah.
so now assume one of your senior folk, one of your senior team member, for whatever reason he is not joining your daily stand-up. He's thinking that it's a waste of his time. So how you're going to work that thing with him, or how you going to tell the benefits of a daily scrum calls to him?
Yeah, I mean, there are some times when some people don't join up. I mean, it's not that it happens on an everyday basis, but there are some times. So once or twice, it's still okay because there could be actually genuine reason why the person is not joining the daily stand-up. But then it is advisable not to skip that because I feel it's one of the very much important activity. I mean, it's just not for it's not for me or the PO. Basically, it's for the team. So whenever the team comes and like talks about it, like what they have done and if there anything stuck, so there are so many people, and out of that at least one person can actually help you on that. So I feel daily stand up is very much important. So if there is something which is happening on a daily basis, intentionally a person is trying to skip it, probably then I need to make him aware, like him or she, to make him aware that it's not the good thing or the good practice what we're doing. Because like probably he's a very key resource, and maybe he's a very like a senior person, and he's not there for maybe he's not there for complete 1 week, and you see the team is actually facing some problem. They want to ask some information but they're not getting it, and maybe after the daily stand up, probably sometimes when you bring there, everyone is there, so everyone brings the opinion, like probably like if there's required, we can have a discussion after the daily stand up, and we know whom to invite. So that I have to make him aware. I have to tell him that see, it is a good way that to bring the team together, and everyone is aligning and highlighting the problems that needs immediate attention. So I need to explain this to him and make him aware of it. Today you are not there in the scrum. See what was the consequence of it. Like the team doesn't know whom to approach it. So probably if you would be there, you would be able to guide them. You could have a separate call after the daily stand up, but at least you would have made that effort, to tell this team you can do this thing, or you can approach so and so person, or you can talk to so and so. He'll be able to guide. He can able to help you. So yeah, these are the things which probably I have to tell him and make him aware of it. And so this is the thing what probably I would do if one of our senior folks, or for anyone for that matter, who makes it a point to skip the daily stand up. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, and now let's assume that one of your team member is leaving your organization, and for whatever reason he's pretty busy or whatever, like he is not helping in providing the KT, or he's refusing to give that KT to the new team members who have just joined, and the new team member is struggling. He just came to you and asking for help. So how you are going to tackle this kind of situation?
So basically, I mean, this is again a very difficult like scenario. I mean, first of all, before this actually happens, I mean, we actually need to ensure the team is cross functional. So that is very much important. I mean, at least the basic knowledge about how the system works, because I have seen there are some people who will be working. One person would be assigned one task, and he knows the in and out of it, everything. And maybe if he's going for a leave for maybe or a 1 or 2 days, you will see the impact on the team, because they don't know whom actually, they're not sure what that person is doing. So there is no clarity on that. So at least the basic knowledge about how the system works, or at least you should have a fair knowledge about whatever the modules we have, that should be known to everyone. And in our thing, we make it a point that we document whatever things we're doing. Like if there is some small feature it is coming, and you see that is like, I mean, if it is, there are some things we can explain in Jira. Like you can just say that this is what it is, but then if it needs much more much more explanation, about like how do you have to do it, how do you have to install it, everything should be properly documented, so that any person, and proper review has to be done. Like it's just not that you do it for the sake of doing it. So proper review has to be done on the documentation if it is done properly, so that any person who basically joins the team, or maybe for that matter any other person who has actually wants to take up the work what you're doing, is fully aware of it, and maybe a minimal KT is required for him to do the work. So yeah, so that is how. And it shouldn't be that like I said that one single person shouldn't be owns everything, like because the impact of it is generally caused when the person goes on a long way of this like if he has put down the paper and then he's not ready to share whatever the information it is, and it really causes dependencies on the team. So this is the first of the thing what we have to do with the current team, like make everyone like work on this thing. It's just not that don't push that work to one person and make him the sole responsible of everything. So yeah, this is what I would generally try to do it, Sun.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay. Now, this is again a kind of scenario. So now let's assume that in your project you have, let's say, 2, 3, 4 different kind of modules, right? And
Right,
one of
right.
your team member, because he's working in that specific module for whatever reason, he's, let's say, know everything about that particular module only, and now he is
Okay.
very comfortable in working in that particular module only. So whenever something is coming with respect to that module, right, he is the guy who is just raising his or her hand and just picking that particular user story, and he is doing that particular thing all the time. And now he is more confident in one area, but then he is a little bit weak in other different modules or different areas, right?
Right,
So
right.
this is not about he's intentionally cherry picking that things, but then
Right,
it's happened over the period of time,
right.
right? So what do you think about this situation? Is it good, bad, or you would like to do something about it? Or yeah, your thought on
Y-
this?
Yeah, ideally it is again bad. So then probably the question what you asked before, like if the person probably, I would say that is the person in case is living, probably, or he's going for a long live. Then you have again the dependencies on the same thing. Like if you are again making him the sole responsible for one particular module, and again you have the dependency since the other people are not very comfortable in taking up that ownership of that task. So cherry picking again, yeah, as you rightly said, it will not be that probably someone is not actually taking a simple task. Is it that he is into the comfort zone, like he owns the module and he knows everything about it, so that's why he wants to take up that task. So that is again what you say is cherry picking. So basically we need to avoid these things. So I would generally, and maybe because of that thing he's able to finish the work faster, because he knows what change to be done. So probably I'm not sure, but I would probably try to bring this up on a like sort of, there should be like a visual indicator, I would say a board, like the agile board, where it shows like how is the moment of task going on, like like how is he going to finish. It's not that he finishes everything and he's sitting idle. I mean, that is not the thing. Like he has to be there should generally we have this working agreement. We say that like, okay, if you're done with the task, if there are any defects, the other people has to take it. So yeah, probably I would be doing this, and I would, whenever he's doing, like he's telling, okay, I want to take this task or something because I know about it, I would rather put another person, and I'll tell him like, yeah, you can assist that person so that he is also aware of it, and it's just not that you are working on it. You can take up another module and learn something others, something new, but you can guide the other team as well. So your teammate. So yeah, this is the way probably probably I'll be able to deal with it, Sunant. Yeah, and I think yeah, you would have good answers, I think, Sunant. So probably I would even like to learn from you as well. So yeah.
Okay. But to my surprise, at least in the
Right.
second half of this question, whatever we have asked, I think we
Right.
have covered most of the questions in detail in our previous sessions. So
Right.
I mean, I can understand, like, I mean, these are the most commonly asked scenario-based questions.
Right.
And I
Right.
think somehow we have done a lot of detailed session on most of these questions in the past. So
Right.
yeah, that's a good thing. People can go back and watch those sessions. Yeah, I think around 70 to 80% are from our previous videos, if not all.
Yes.
So
Right.
for example,
Right.
few from, I think from Scaled Agile, we have not covered Rome, I think so far, but yeah, most of the questions are already there. Okay,
Right.
so one last question and then we sum up, uh, Disha.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the last question is, let's suppose your team has, during your estimation, your team has given
Mm-hmm.
less story points to one of
Mm-hmm.
the user story.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because you are from a technical background or you have
Mm-hmm.
already spent a lot of time in this project,
Mm-hmm.
you may feel that this user story will take more time and it
Right.
will not going to finish in, let's say, this particular sprint. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe the story points, maybe it's more complex. Team
Mm-hmm.
is not able to assess it properly for whatever
Right.
reason, right?
Right. Right.
So, what do you do as a Scrum Master? Will you jump into that? Or will you share your ideas, your thoughts, or you will let the team will go with it? And in the maybe in the later half, when they are not able to finish it on time, maybe in the retrospective, you will bring to this into attention, or what are you going to do about this?
Well, again, in this case, basically, like we have, as I said, that we have again the team of developers and testers, and there is again an architect involved. And then, firstly, I would actually ask the team to ask what are the requirements from the PO, because the PO has to explain it properly. Like if there is again dependence or something, which is not cleared by the team and all. So that is a thing what the team has to, ask the PO as well. And when we're talking about the user stories, like sometimes there are chances that the developers only consider like basically maybe on the testing part, okay, this user story, this is what I can finish it off. They actually not thinking about the testing part as well. So probably what I would feel is that I'll let them explain what are their thoughts. Probably I'll try to slowly bring, and I mean it's not that just explaining my opinion. I mean, I'll say, have you considered about the testing part? Have you think what would be the issue of it? If there is some dependencies that maybe you have another team, like you have so many teams on the art, right? And if you have a dependency of the other team, have you thought about it? So those are the questions basically I'll ask them. And I'll give some time for the team to think through the thing, like basically think to the process, like you see, is there something is left out, or is you still feel you're confident enough that you can still finish it. So that will be a basic motive of mine in that case. And probably at times if you feel that okay, the user stories is actually trying to take too much of if the story points is going beyond 13, so generally that is what we tend to do. If something which is going more than 13, we try to break it, at least have it on an 8 or 5 level, because 13 is something which we have seen that it's like it's very critical, like we'll not be able to complete it. So we have seen one example where technology was new and the team just said okay, it is 13 and we will we'll try to deliver it, but at the end we couldn't do that because we had seen there was so much of dependencies on that. So yeah, these are the learnings what I have. So probably I'll tell the team to think through it, and if it is still you see the user story points are too much, we'll try to cut it short. We'll take it step by step, and because there would be again a sense of achievement instead of something which is not working at the end. It's basically you take maybe you can take 2 or 3 story points and the team can complete it, and then they feel okay, we have done a considerable amount, we have done a good work. So yeah, that would be probably I'll not be waiting for the entire retrospective. I would try to share my thoughts. It'll try to bring those questions so that the team can understand like where it is where they feel that they're lacking on that. They can probably ask for more user story points and all. And maybe in the retro we'll still have that thought. We'll if in something is not working out, we'll see what was lacking from our end. If the dependent, if something was not clear, that we can again talk in the retro as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think we are done for today, Disha. So thanks a lot. And
Thank you so much,
whoever
Sunil.
are watching this session, this video, friends, all these questions and answers are just for your reference. Always try to come up with your own set of answers. Then only you will remember, recall in during the actual interviews, right? So that's the intention, just to share the thought, what kind of questions are coming nowadays. People are coming, they are sharing their own experiences along with you guys. So yeah, so that's all for today's, and yeah, see you in next session, in next videos. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'm just closing the session. Thanks. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.